Hello and welcome back to EclipseClan. Today we are picking up pretty much where we left off. We are just going to jump right into it though with another time skip going into 34 moons. Shortburn stands above the clan and proclaims that Boulderpaw shall now be known as Boulder Hawk, honoring their intrigue. That's a cool name. Stormpaw has reached the age of 6 moons and has been made an apprentice. And Skypaw sits up straighter as they're called forward to be made an apprentice. While they try to look calm and collected, they still tremble a bit as they touch noses with Claw Splinter. Sick Nettle has gotten heat exhaustion, and Cougar Kit wakes up with a mild headache but gets up to play anyway. We also notice that some of the raspberries gone bad. So it doesn't really sound like from those descriptions that we necessarily have anything bad with new apprentices and warriors, but we're definitely going to have to take a look at that. Sorry for any background noise as well. The cats are starting off very active here. Okay, so Stick Nettle is sick with heat exhaustion. She seems like she is okay from what I've got here, so we should be good there. Okay, so here's Boulder Hawk. He is still 11 moons old, adventurous, and a lore master. His parent was Salem. So Boulder Hawk is still going to be a neutral trait, so we're okay there. And we'll get to see what he looks like fully grown next time skip. And then here is Stormpaw, who is nervous and quick to make peace. Not necessarily great traits. And then we have Skypaw, who woke up on the wrong side of the nest, who is strict, quick-witted, and oddly observant. So Stormpaw is so pretty. Of these two, I do think we're going to go ahead and switch Skypaw over to Shortburn. Because of her injuries, I don't think she's gonna really get a chance to see over Skypaw's training directly. But I think even whatever influence we can get there is going to be good. Unless there's a huge turnaround of personalities when they grow up, Skypaw is probably going to become like an heir to Shortburn. And we'll give Stormpaw to Claw Splinter to take over, since that is a thruple. Shortburn is currently thinking about new ways to care for the clan, so that could come across in a lot of different ways there. So for Zenea's spirit here, I've been told a few different things, including the fact that we can switch cats over to warrior even after they've retired, and I think that we will continue to do that where we can. If cats want to live in this clan, that's effectively what they're gonna have to do, and as long as their age doesn't get in the way in any way or hamper them at all, and as long as there's no downsides to that, so they basically don't get any strikes that go against them, then I don't see why age would necessarily affect them in any way beyond some incompetency would. I've also gotten a few recommendations for rebellions against Shortburn, so I definitely think that there's some stuff brewing right now. I don't really have a whole lot of time just due to some real life things going on to make a generator, but maybe by next time we'll be able to have a generator to actually see how some of these tensions grow. In the meantime, I'll be rolling dice and checking cats' in-game statuses just to see if anything comes of some of the tension here. Okay, so based off of what I got here, nothing particularly exciting is going to happen off the books this episode. Anything else that comes is going to happen, or I'm sorry, this moon. Anything else that does come along is just going to be a result of patrols. So Hocus Pocus does acquire a strike because they're not able to bring back anything from their herb gathering patrol. As our patrol is checking the border markings, a Butterfly Clan patrol appears and begins cheering at the EclipseClan patrol. We do have to antagonize here, so we'll start off there. Angry at the insult to our clan, we throw themselves at the enemy patrol. Despite their righteous fury, the Butterfly Clan patrol quickly overpowers them and sends our patrol back onto their own side of the border. And relationships have worsened. So that is definitely not ideal there. And Peekver, Boulderhawk, Morbius Fang, and Sega Runner all get strikes. This would be their first for all of these cats. So, going into Moon 35, Stick Nettle's heat exhaustion has abated. Morbius Fang gazes up into Silverpelt and finds that finally the grief has begun to lessen. Cougar Kit's headache is gone, but they do seem to keep falling to one side, and it's eventually clear that one of the legs on that side just isn't as strong as the others. And the war with Butterfly Clan has begun. So, a lot is going on now. This is pretty much exactly what Shortburn would want to see happening under normal circumstances, but Shortburn is very weak and her position in the clan is kind of tenuous. So that's definitely going to be something that I'm going to be taking into consideration for any possible encounters here. And next time, especially if the war is still ongoing, which it probably will be, this is going to be a shorter episode, I can already tell. We'll have some twofold generators going on, I think. Shortburn is satisfied that Stormpaw is doing well in their training. All 3 of our medicine cats are thinking about taking on a new apprentice. So I'm wondering if there's just some concern that their healers isn't going to be enough for the clan for the war that's coming up. Sega Runner's practicing for the war by sparring. Morbius Fang is grateful to Rush Reed for their treatment. This is something else that I've noticed has kind of started to come up, is that Morbius Fang doesn't really like Shortburn, and Rush Reed also doesn't really like Shortburn. And Rush Reed dislikes Hocus Pocus even as much as she respects him. So it's definitely some kind of like mutual friendship or dislike going on between Morbius Fang and Rush Reed, and then Shortburn and Hocus Pocus. So there's effectively like a warrior and a medicine cat on either side, and that's also going to be very interesting to see how that develops. So Dawntrail is currently on a claw wound that's been hurt for 2 moons, and he already had his strike. Between that and his unideal nature, he does unfortunately need to be healed by next moon to remain in the clan, even with the war. Okay, here is Boulderhawk. He is very pretty. It says Aenea's spirit is going to be staying this go. At this rate, he'll probably just have a moon or 2 more to heal up, and then we'll have overstayed the welcome. Okay, so Morbius Fang is seen speaking to Rush Reed out in the middle of the camp clearing. They are confronted by Peekver, who is nervously enacting out Shortburn's will in her stead. And while they are definitely speaking with derision, they are slow to move off, showing that they don't really have a whole lot of respect, and dislike between Shortburn and Morbius Fang increases. So we'll use our mediators to reflect that. As Rush Reed pads through EclipseClan territory, they feel a presence join them. Rush Reed is totally by themselves and is not necessarily satisfied with Shortburn's answers about guidance and, soul loyalty to the leader. So I think she is going to try and connect, but even so, it wavers and disappears quickly. So Rush Reed just doesn't have the practice she needs, probably, to properly engage there. And Hocus Pocus says they managed to gather their herbs and are okay again. Okay, so the same cats are on border patrol when they hear a cat begging for their housefolk to come back. Just barely legible are the sound of monsters speeding away. We will proceed since this is recruiting. We find a kitty pet collapsed by the thunder path, wailing for the housefolk. Peekfur comforts them, asking why they were left here. Their only explanation is that they've been sick and were perhaps too much of a burden. Peekfur offers them a place in EclipseClan, at least until they're better. They attentively accept, looking longingly at the thunder path as they're led away. And Bluff Speckles join the clan. Wow. This is a very interesting, like, two-pelt almost. Bluff Speckle is lonesome and a good climber. Lonesome is considered a good trait. So she's okay here. But she is sick with red cough, and I'm not super confident we'll be able to heal that. It'd be very nice if we did. She is a very pretty cat. Okay, so Shortburn's broken bone has healed, actually. I didn't think that that was enough time for it to have healed, I suppose, but it seems it was. Dawntrail's claw wound is healed, but they'll always carry evidence of the incident on their pelt. He's still going to need to succeed on whatever patrol he does today in order to properly stay in the clan, though Shortburn has been very lenient of late. Morbius Fang has gotten a running nose, and we notice that some Daisy's gone bad. The tension between our clan and Butterfly Clan is palpable, with even the smallest actions potentially leading to violence. So we'll just scroll through here. I'm taking a little bit more time to read through these myself, just for my own considerations here. Okay. Nothing extremely notable there. So here's Dawn Trail. Looks like his scar is on the other side. But he is up and moving. The Sharpburn still has a twisted leg, but the broken bone is gone. So she'll be able to go on patrol with Skypaw now. And she is currently pondering recent dreams she's had. Perhaps from StarClan, or perhaps from someplace else. So Morbius Fang's trait today is not afraid of anything. Stormpaw is currently feeling down, and Skypaw is learning they'd be a good swimmer. Stormpaw could be feeling down because his mother and leader, Shortburn, has so clearly marked his sibling as being hair, or at least getting preferential treatment. And it seems Skypaw is just completely oblivious to that, or at least pretending to be. Okay, so Zanaea's Spirit's gonna have one more moon. And Alphonse Tales 3 kits will be getting apprentice next go here. Shortburn, now that she is feeling much better, is padding around the camp clearing, preparing to set off in the woods once again to patrol her territory under the dim light of night. She sees Morbius Fang talking and narrows her eyes thoughtfully, thinking that Morbius Fang is surely talking about her. She goes up and makes a remark to Morbius Fang, who rolls her eyes to the clanmate she was talking to, and states that of course she would never say anything bad about Shortburn. Shortburn just being very paranoid. Shortburn narrows her eyes even further and flicks her tail irritably, and she says that that had better be the case, for the next time that she hears Morbius Fang saying bad things about her, she'll claw the smirk right off of her face, if she's lucky, before she exiles her, or worse. Morbius Fang just scoffs and says, "I'd like to see you try." Shortburn is tempted to enact on her threat then and there, but sees Restorated step forward with a look of dislike in her eyes and backs off. Not yet. She wants to get a little bit stronger first. But we will signals eavesdropping. Further sabotage these two. We'll send the family out for a training session. Trailing behind the patrol, there is a mighty crash above Stormpaw. They look around wildly just as the world is blotted out by a tangle of heavy falling branches. Hurt and wheezing, Stormpaw hears the patrol panicking as they drift to StarClan. Stormpaw dies. That's the only time I think I've ever had a cat die when we proceeded on a patrol like this. No, poor Stormpaw. Yeah. Sharper, Claw Splinter, and Skypaw are all affected by shock, which... yeah, I can't blame them. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I thought that was going to be a cute excursion, but I guess not. Mulebranch is not successful in bringing back herbs, which is definitely going to be considered very negatively going into Leaf Fall and Leaf Bear, especially with the war being declared. Hocus Pocus does gather some burdock though, but Restorated isn't able to get any dandelion. Okay, so Dawn Trail is relegated to solo border patrol, and he really can't afford to lose. And he actually encounters a Thrush Clan border patrol. And it even includes a young apprentice whose eyes go around for flush up encountering a real EclipseClan cat. Dawn Trail plays along, acting very impressed with the hard-working apprentice, and the apprentice's mentor purrs gratefully. Their relationships actually improve, but Dawn Trail is completely reset. He's now just back to solo border patrols with equal pressure to what he had before. So the war continues to rage between our clan and Butterfly Clan. Interested in herbs even in their kit herd, Cougarpaw is eager to be apprenticed to Hocus Pocus. Quillpaw purrs so hard that they're shaking as they touch noses with Dawn Trail. Lightpaw smiles up at the stars as they sit beside Peakfur. The stars seem to shine a little brighter, and Lightpaw knows it's a sign that Alphonse is still watching over them. Restorated also announces that they are expecting kits, but they won't be moving to nursery just yet. As the clan sits vigil, Sharpburn's voice cracks with grief, talking about the time they had with Stormpaw. Sharpburn makes a point of removing some foliage from Stormpaw's nest before it's cleared out. Stormpaw's scent and the strands of fur left behind comfort Sharpburn as they drift to sleep that night. Hocus Pocus nuzzles against the fur of their dead child, their kit, their Stormpaw, and feels as though the world has ended. One day the clan will have kittens who never knew Stormpaw in life, but Hocus Pocus vows to ensure Stormpaw's memory will live on through them. And Stormpaw has taken their place in the afterlife as their loss is mourned and moments of their life are shared in stories. Claw, Splinter, and Sharpburn are no longer suffering from shock. Neither is Skypaw. Morbius Fang's running nose is gone, and we notice that Goldenrod's gone bad. So that was definitely a rough go. Just gonna take a quick look here. Ooh, Morbius Fang is chatting up with Hocus Pocus. Morbius Fang will always let Bubbling Whisker, but has decided to move on. So she also doesn't really have a whole lot of obligations to the clan, not like she had before. Let's take a quick look at these apprentices. So this is now Sharpburn's only kit. And then we have Quillpaw, who is charismatic, constantly climbing. Lightpaw, who is cold, also constantly climbing. Cougarpaw is up here. Cougarpaw turned out to be loyal, is also constantly climbing, and does still have the weak leg. So, all the medicine cats were thinking about taking on an apprentice. I think of the options, Hocus Pocus is probably the one Shortburn would trust the most. Now, for the other two, we had Dawn Trail and Peak Fur. Alphonseal didn't really have a chance to get to know anybody, but I think out of everybody, Sega Runner makes the most sense. He doesn't really have close clan ties. He's nervous, which isn't necessarily a good or a bad trait, but it's better than a bad trait. And yeah, I think we'll just switch these two over to Sega Runner. Let's also roll and see how everyone else says here. Okay, so Shortburn calls the clan from the top of the hill, close to where she makes her den. She announces to the clan gathered below her that Zenea's spirit is too old and weak to continue to shelter here in the clan. She tells the clan that even if they manage to recover from the head trauma, who's to say that they would ever act normal again? And beyond that, due to their advanced age, they could well be taking care of this cat to the end of its life, which may not be very long. The clan reluctantly pushes Zenea's spirit out of their nest in the Elder's Den and brings them towards the front of the grotto. Morbius Fang steps forward, blocking Zenea's spirit's path, and glares coldly at Shortburn. Morbius Fang then states that Zenea's spirit has had half the time to recover than Shortburn herself took on even one of her injuries. Shortburn reminds them that she incurred her injuries after protecting her late deputy, Bubbling Whisker, and Morbius Fang's own mate, and that Morbius Fang didn't seem all that opposed to Shortburn's actions when it had initially saved Bubbling Whisker's life. Morbius Fang is at a loss for words for a moment, but then shakes it off as she has moved on from Bubbling Whisker, and states that the dead and what could have been are now behind them, but there is a cat here now that needs their help. Shortburn jumps down and rakes her claws in front of Zenea's spirit's muzzle, scarring her cheek, and coldly tells Morbius Fang that she's had enough of her talk and accusations against Shortburn herself, and she'll make an example of any cat that does this. Zenea's spirit is to leave the clan immediately, or else they will effectively take actions into their own claws, and Zenea's spirit will not be leaving the grotto alive. Morbius Fang, seeing the challenge in Shortburn's eyes, and shocked that it actually did come to blows, averts her gaze, and Zenea's spirit is escorted out to be exiled. The rest of the clan doesn't necessarily seem happy with this, but no one else dares to challenge Shortburn either. Shortburn states also that she is keeping a very close eye on Morbius Fang, as who knows who and what Morbius Fang is actually fighting for here. And Morbius Fang is going to be relegated to solar border patrols for at least 3 moons as well. So Zenea's spirit is exiled. I'm sorry, Zenea's spirit. And before I forget, I already kind of forgot, I guess. We'll bring Stormpaw into StarClan. Here we go. Now I'll just add a little note here. A solo border patrol until 36 moons old. That is going to be 3 moons from now. So Shortburn takes Skypaw out on a solo training patrol, and Skypaw, probably thinking about what happened to Stormpaw, asks why they live in the forest. Shortburn shows Skypaw how the trees protect from wind and rain, how, like their ancestors had done for generations, EclipseClan has learned to jump between branches like the squirrels they hunt. Skypaw nods, talking about how the plains or beaches wouldn't have those advantages. We'll do our solo border patrols next. So Tremble Clan patrol appears, begins sharing at our lone patrol Dawn Trail, who is going to be forced to antagonize here. And Dawn Trail, angry at the insult, throws themselves at the enemy patrol, managing to drive them away from the border. So Dawn Trail's actually done better by himself than an entire patrol did. Up next, it's Morbius Fang's go. Morbius Fang is checking along the border lines when they hear a startling sound. A hiss of pain, they quickly follow the sound to the source. It's a loner and they appear to be injured. Since this is recruiting, we'll proceed. Morbius Fang approaches cautiously. The loner drives himself up, but doing so causes them to let out another hiss. Morbius Fang offers to bring them to camp, and though the loner is hesitant, they agree. Light Trot has joined. Let's see. Oh my gosh. That's a very interesting coat pattern. So Light Trot here is shameless, fast as the wind, and a great teacher. She is injured with a claw wound and has been hurt for 0 moons. So she is shameless, which is a good trait. So that's a good recruit on our part. I am going to change Light Trot's prefix. I like the Trot one, but just since we already have a Light Paw, it's just getting a little too close there. Apricot Trot. That's cute. And I think it's pretty fitting for her coloration as well. Hocus Pocus and Cougar Paw managed to gather a lot of mallow. Rush Raid is distracted today, and the patrol is unsuccessful. That effectively counts for a strike, but since Rush Raid's going to be having kittens at some point here, that's going to be happening before she could incur 3 strikes. Or disprove her use, I suppose. So Rush Raid's fine. Quillpaw encounters a porcupine bristling with quills. The irony of this name here. We're not going to proceed. We steer clear of the porcupine, and as such, Sacred Runner, Quillpaw, and Lightpaw get an automatic strike. But I'd rather get a strike than be down for who knows how long due to spike to the face or a broken bone or something. So they'll get another chance. The patrol of Peakfur, Boulder Hawk, and Claw Splinter hears distant howling and decides whether to investigate the noise. They will proceed and find a wolf eating from its kill. That's a predator they cannot fight, and more wolves may be nearby. The patrol decides to return to camp and report the injury to the leader. Perhaps they can return later to take what little fresh kill is left behind. Better than some alternatives. And I don't have a ton of time, so I think we'll only go one more today. Rush Raid is not sure how many kits they'll have. They don't believe they can efficiently perform their duties while expecting and move into the nursery. Bluffspeckle does unfortunately pass the red cough and takes their place in the afterlife. I must admit, Bluffspeckle, for having red cough, did last longer than I'd anticipated. I kind of thought that was immediate death sentence, but maybe just due to the sheer number and experience of medicine cats, it kind of had a counteraction. I don't know. And Butterfly Clan and EclipseClan agree to peace terms. So nothing necessarily happened there, but just in case, I will be more prepared for any upcoming wars and have a generator ready to go. I thought it'd be like the other one where we went 20 moons and nothing much really happened. There's a lot of mention of Dawn Trail in this go here. Not necessarily good or bad there. Shortburn doesn't understand StarClan's resentment towards them. Peakfur thinks they're going crazy. They may very well be. Just with the nerves of being split between what she may feel are her morals and what Shortburn's telling her to do in her fear of Shortburn. Signals wondering if meeting is meant to be so draining. Morbius saying wants to be chosen as a new deputy. Very interesting. Okay, so it looks like nothing's going to happen this moon for clan drama. A lot of the clan is feeling relieved that tensions with Butterfly Clan have gone down without any immediate bloodshed, and Morbius Fang is still remembering the fresh wound across her face, which Shortburn has prohibited any medicine cat from looking at. So it's taking a little bit longer to heal. We gather burdock, and we go to gather some marigold, which we do successfully. Shortburn and Skypaw find a nice place to sun themselves. Shortburn smiles, inviting Skypaw to sit down. The apprentice is a little stiff at first, unsure how to act in front of the warrior and their leader and mother. That's actually what Shortburn wants to work on here. EclipseClan contains cats of all ages, skills, and talents. It's important to work on being comfortable with everyone, just as important as working on respecting them. They're all EclipseClan after all. And I think a little bit more practical, Shortburn's also probably giving Skypaw some tips on how to hold and maintain power. After all, she did manage to do so despite her long stint in the medicine cat den. Now for our warrior patrol. Oof. Morbius Singh is marking the borderlines. A gang of rogues burst from bushes and ambush. Now Morbius Fang isn't necessarily tied to being forced to proceed as part of her punishment, so she's not going to. The rogues have them far outnumbered. Warning the clan is more important than dying needlessly. But that's probably going to come back and bite her. As Dawn Trail is checking the border lines, they notice Willow Clan sent us straight into their territory. They, however, are forced to proceed and must antagonize. This is a trespass, so will not be tolerated and should be reciprocated. Dawn Trail blatantly spreads our scent on Willow Clan's territory, ruining the clearly marked border lines, and relationships have worsened. So I think that's going to be automatic 2 strikes against Morbius Fang since she's already on thin ice. But I don't think anything inherently is going to happen to her. While helping gathering herbs, Slypaw stumbles upon a bush of red berries. They're already at 1 strike. I don't want a cat to just outright die, but I'm really hoping Sega Runner, since they have over 300 experience, can counteract it. Because it's kind of 1 cat versus 3 here, so we're gonna have to proceed. Okay. Quillpaw is not sure, but does avoid and alert the patrol, who is worried, confirms that this is a deathberry bush. So exactly the ideal thing could have happened, which is that the cat didn't eat them. They were deathberries, but we didn't eat them. That does reset their strikes. Since the only more positive thing that could have happened would have been if it was raspberry and we collected it, but no one ate them. That would have been the failure. Oh, this is interesting. As we're checking the border lines, we notice the Tremble Clan sent us straight into the territory. Tremble Clan has been hostile recently. This can't be good. being the kind of clan we are, we're going to antagonize anyway, but I think everyone's probably being pretty edgy right now as well, just given current interclan tensions. How dare they trespass? We bound after the set, hoping to find a source of it, eventually discovering a lip-ring Trouble Clan warrior who hastily explains that a dog chased them into our territory. The patrol is still angry, but they rein in their hostility and tensely return the cat to Trouble Clan territory. Okay. So, since Morbius Fang at least did warn the clan about the trespass, it's not going to be automatic exile, but she is on 2 strikes automatically. And nothing further is going to happen since she narrowly escaped with her life. And it just reminds her of the dangers that lie outside of this place, where any old gang of rogues could ambush a lone cat and actually succeed in what they set out to do today. So as much as she hates it here, being in the clan is still safer for her. And I do think that's where we're going to leave it off today. I apologize that this is a bit helter-skelter today. Like I said, I don't have a ton of time for recording, and my other commitments have been going crazy lately. So, hopefully you all still enjoyed this episode. I will see you in the next one, and I'll be a bit more organized by then, hopefully, and have some per chance generators to go forward with further clan drama and possible war generators as well. So, we can look forward to that. But until next time, I will see you all then. Stay safe, stay happy, and bye!